Hi guys, as you guys may have noticed, I took a little bit of a break making videos recently because I was out pursuing NYLT, which was a training course. And basically, this video is going to be reviewing my experience at NYLT as well as some advice and tips that you might need. NYLT or the National Youth Leadership Training course took place at Camp Winnebago, and this course took place on the second week of August. So NYLT is basically a leadership course. It's a full week, and you basically have to camp with people you don't know. So you form patrols and multiple troops or a few troops. So a bunch of scouts from that district or that area come together. Those scouts, and they don't know each other, so everybody's new. And the staff, there's basically a few staff assigned to each troop or and specific patrols, and they kind of have to form what it would be like in a normal troop to kind of simulate what a troop is, as well as teach them what leadership looks like. This is kind of nice because if it was just a normal leadership course, it would be a classroom style. You sit down and they tell you what you have to do. But in NYLT, it's really hands on, and you feel like what it's like to form a troop. And these people are new, so you go through the stages of teamwork and team developing. This course is really good if you hold a leadership position in your troop, because it really gives you a little bit of insight on what it means to be a good leader. And you can ask the staff for help, and they teach you many tips that you don't know. And you can put all the information in a binder they give you, like this one. And in that binder, it has everything you might need. It has note-taking sheets. It has actual troop like planning papers you could actually use in your troop. And this binder is really useful because I learned a lot of things. Not only could I write down what I learned, but it also gave me like templates for planning out troop meetings or PLCs, and it's basically good for keeping track of what you learned so far. Now, NYLT might not be common to many scouts, and this is because it's kind of like a competitive group of scouts and leaders who come together, and it's not something I'd recommend for beginning scouts or scouts who don't think that they can handle it, because it is pretty intense, and you sleep late, you wake up early, and the entire day is packed with things to do, and you have to put in a lot of your energy. And along with that, you also have to learn, and your team might get into fights sometimes. You might be doing well, but it's like a real camping trip, but for a full week, and you have to survive that on top of learning new things, taking classes, and even having fun at the same time. So it has a lot of pressure, but in the end it's really fun because you get to know a lot of people. So now let's dive into what it actually is. My experience at NYLT was that I started around 6 in the morning. I drove to the campsite, which was Winnebago for me, and we reached there in the morning. We checked in. So you have to attend the pre-conference, which is usually taking place a month before the actual NYLT course, and during that they give you your the NYLT uniform or the shirt, like two of them, your cap, and they might give you different things based on when you're going. Like if it's in the winter, you might wear some. They might give you a hoodie. And basically, what they do is they introduce you to NYLT, what you have to pack, what to bring, what to expect, and some of the basic cheers, and you get to know the staff and each other. And that was pretty helpful for me because I learned a lot on what to bring. Another thing about NYLT is that you should be prepared. So that means bringing everything you might need and not too much, because the weather there can be a little bit rough. And it's basically like a tradition because every year the staff says that the weather's not so good. And during my NYLT it rained a lot, and a lot of kids had to go home. So I would really highly recommend that you bring enough clothing to last you, whether it's cold, if whether it's gonna snow, and that happened last year, or if it's gonna rain. So come be prepared, and that's the motto, a scout motto. So come with all the clothes you might need. Another thing about NYLT is that they're pretty strict about the clothes you wear during the day. So if they tell you class A, you need the class A. And even if it's dripping wet, they're gonna still want you to bring it along with you. And you wear your field uniform basically all the time, during games, during activities, when you're cooking. So the only time you really get to take that stuff off is in the night, like after you take your shower, or right in the morning, like the moment you wake up, you'll have to change and come out and start cooking. So I would recommend bringing a few extra pairs of your class A, or a few pairs of pants, or bring a lot of, like, if they let you buy more, you can buy a little bit of the a few of the shirts that they provide you. But I didn't really do that this year, and I think that it would really be helpful for scouts going in the future, because your class A is going to get wet, your pants are going to get dirty, and it's intense. They expect you to be one with the nature, so that might mean rolling on the ground. And don't feel ashamed or disencouraged there if you make a mistake or you do something embarrassing, because NYLT is really a free, open space to make mistakes, explore what it's like to be a leader, and you can really do anything, but but it has to be reasonable. Like, for example, that might mean yelling out cheers, doing something silly, but that really helps you along the way, because being a leader also means not only being professional but having fun and expressing yourself in a way that doesn't make yourself feel like a robot. When I reached camp at NYLT, it was a 1 mile hike, and my gear was pretty heavy. So it was pretty intense for all the scouts, and we were sweaty by the time we reached. And this was in Class A, by the way. When we reached the campsite, we had a few tours along the way. So we were already exhausted, and we had a bunch to come ahead. So that was already something new. Something I'd recommend before you go to NYLT is to get lots of sleep, maybe even oversleep, and right before you go, eat a bunch of food, because you don't get to sleep a lot that entire week, and you can even see the staff being a little bit tired, and you eat food pretty late on the first day when you reach. So we arrived, we got a tour. We were the Patriots, so I'm not sure if it's the same for all the NYLTs across the wherever you are. But in our NYLT, we had two troops, and they were the Patriots and the Redcoats. And if you guys don't know this already, NYLT is of course a leadership course, but it also needs a little bit of fun. And trust me, if you think it's just about a course that teaches you about being a good leader, it's not, and it's much more fun. You have a lot of fun, you make a bunch of friends, and you play games, and everything just feels like a game. So our troops were the Redcoats and Patriots, because the Redcoats were supposed to be the British people, and the Patriots were supposed to be the American people. So we kind of had a rivalry, so that added a little bit of competition, and you'll see why later on this kind of helped. And inside of each troop, we had six patrols, and these patrols were divided based on colors. So there was a yellow patrol, black patrol, blue patrol, green patrol, and onwards like that. The yellow patrol usually meant the youngest patrol, and the black patrol was usually the oldest patrol, and I was in the yellow patrol. And the youngest age you can attend NYLT is at 13, and the oldest you can go is at 18. So it's basically just the requirements for being a scout, except you have to be 13. And you can staff there too, but the staffing process is a little bit more competitive, and you don't have to be 18 to staff there. NYLT is a little bit of a mix of classroom style and hands-on. So some of those activities might mean sitting down inside of the staff cabin and watching a presentation, which are, by the way, very interesting, because the staff always found a way to make them funny or seem interesting. And the presentations were handmade, not like those classroom, like the school AI generated slideshows. They were actually made by the staff, usually themed like a cartoon theme and with funny images. And they usually had us do activities midway through the presentations. And it was also a mix of your personal experiences. So although it may not seem like it on the outside, but in the inside, every single thing I did with my patrol really not only bonded us, but really made us fight and argue, and that really showed in the end what type of people we were. For example, if it was something as small as cooking or fixing something, we might argue, we might fight, but that's what they want us to do. Like, they give us all of these things, like they provide us a dining fly, they provide us benches, they provide us food, a stove, and pots, so that we can use them and see what it, and like really, it's like a like it's really like a imitation of what it really means to be in a troop. And I think they really set that up in a really nice way. So basically, just treat NYLT like a normal campout, but really long, and like you don't know any of the people there. So after that, we really settled down. We went to our campsites, set up our tents, and we had to, as a patrol, we had to set up our patrol gear. So we had to set up our dining fly, which is really helpful because it protects you from the rain, our stove, our propane, our things like that. Then came the fun part where we met our TG, our troop guide. I can't say his name, but if you're watching this, hi Liam, and then their SI, which is our senior instructor, and basically who they are is our SI is basically, I wouldn't say a position lower than the TG, but the TG is a little bit more senior than the SI, which means it might be a little bit of a more experienced staff or a little bit more interactive inside the group of staff. So the TGs, I wouldn't say they're the boss, but basically the manager position for the SIs, and they basically work together to teach us our leadership skills. Those two weren't the only people we learned from, because once in a while they would come to our campsite and they would personally teach us. So each patrol had an assigned a pair of TGs and SIs to teach them. So we had our own, and they would usually sit down on a picnic table with us and teach us. And then right after that, we would probably have an activity with them, or we would go in the cabin. Then our TG and SI, they took us to the opening campfire, which was fun. Then right after that, we had the normal opening stuff. Like it was kind of like a campery opening, like a campfire. We had a dance party. We had ice cream, which was nice. And then most importantly, we showered because everybody was really stinky after that. We were all sweaty after that. And the shower, there were only three showers for so many scouts, and you guys know what happens when there's only three showers. The line was pretty long, and it took everybody 10 minutes to shower each. So I was probably there till 12 in the morning. And the thing about NYLT is that you really don't run on energy. You basically run on the enthusiasm and the spirit of NYLT, because you don't get that much sleep, if I'm being honest. And a lot of scouts skipped or went home really because of that, and a mixture of the rain. And then on my first actual day, I woke up. I felt like what it's like to cook breakfast. And in NYLT, it's different because you usually have two scouts go down to the commissary, pick up the food crates and the utensils, come back, and then cook. So in this way, I really felt that it was an advantage to have people like this in my patrol who are also like me, because it's not like in your troop there might be some scouts who don't know how to cook or don't have that experience, but these are experienced scouts. So this is my first time working with a group of scouts who really understand what I understand, and work so efficiently and try to cooperate. But a disadvantage is that we're all trying in NYLT, we're all leaders, and we're all trying to push forward and make ourselves the big dog or the person who is leading everyone. So sometimes we might get a little bit pushy and fight over who's the leader. Someone might say, do that, do this. And in the end, it's a patrol. And a way we fixed this is that we made a duty roster. So one day someone would be patrol leader, and another day someone else would be. So this is how it went overall. And some things I'd really suggest for you to bring that they might not put on the packing list to tell you is bring lots of rain gear. They definitely tell you on the packing list to bring a rain jacket and stuff like that, but I would really emphasize on that. Most of your packing should be revolving around bad weather. Like bring maybe ponchos, bring something to cover your stuff, bring towels, bring an umbrella. An umbrella was really useful. I brought one this year. Bring many clothes and a towel. Also bring a good backpack, because if you bring a bad backpack, it's gonna hurt your back, and overall, it's really not gonna be fun for you. Bring a proper sleeping bag, a sleeping pad, and it might get wet, so bring your extra socks, maybe more pads. Like the person I was tenting with, his tent broke, so we had to tent together, and he brought many sleeping pads, so our tent was completely covered. And when the water came in to our tent, sadly, we weren't soaked and we weren't drenched. Bring multiple BSA Scouting America field uniforms. That really helps. It doesn't matter if you have your patches on them, just bring them with you. Bring multiple pants. Bring a water bottle, which really matters. You need your water bottle everywhere, and they make sure you have it. bring a small notebook and pen, because although you already have this binder, I'm not sure if other NYLT courses provide this. So it's always nice to have a notebook, not only to journal down your thoughts, but also take a little bit of your own lessons down. And you might also run out of space here if you're a really ambitious note taker. I would also suggest bringing a little bit of cash. My NYLT didn't have a trading post, but you might need it just in case. And if yours does, then bring that. And because it might get a little bit wet, and you might want to buy some extra supplies from the trading post or wherever. Some things that I would say to leave at home would be leave your phones and electronics, because although it's nice to have your phone throughout the day like on a normal camping trip, but NYLT isn't really the place where you use your phone, because throughout the day you're going to be busy. And if you are going to bring it, then just use it during the night if you have to call your parents or do something like that, because the phones and electronics really ruin the spirit of NYLT throughout the day. And unless you really have to talk to your parents, I would suggest not bringing a phone. I also wouldn't suggest bringing snacks, because they provide you lots of food at NYLT. And if you ask the camp director or someone at commissary, they might just give you some of the extra food they have there. They also usually have a no electronic policy, but most of the time scouts anyways bring it. And I also wouldn't suggest bringing aerosol cans, because that's not permitted. But that doesn't mean you don't bring sunscreen and bug spray, because you really need bug spray at a full on summer camp. So that's basically all I have to cover about my experience. But for your experience, I would say stay motivated and put in your energy, because NYLT is pretty silly and goofy. Like some things that were interesting in my NYLT that they didn't put on the course list or whatever we had right before, is they never told us about shmoney or money they would give us. Like the staff put their faces on like fake money and they gave it to us. They let us invest in stocks, and that really motivated us, because the staff knew that we were going to compete, and this was the way that patrols competed. We also had different awards and prizes you could win, like a cooking award or a service award or something for flags, and we all had to decorate that award once we got it. Also, we all slept pretty late, and if you guys don't know, there's also this really cool thing called Outpost Night. And probably one of the best highlights of NYLT for me was Outpost Night, because it's basically when all the adults and all the staff basically leave you alone for half the day until 8 a.m. the next morning. And basically, you can do anything. So they give you GPS coordinates, but during Outpost, you do have to go somewhere and come back. They give you GPS coordinates, and they give you along with the GPS coordinates, they give you a letter that's written directly to you from your TG or SI, and you go to that coordinate with your patrol. You go to the outpost camp, you have fun, you wait till dinner, you come back, read your letters on the way back, pick up dinner, and then do whatever you want at your campsite. So for my experience personally, our patrol, we reached the outpost camp, and so did all the other patrols. But the thing was, there wasn't anything to suggest there was an outpost camp. But when I asked my TG later on, that was the camp. But at that moment, we got a little bit scared, and everybody was panicking, and the scouts started splitting. Some scouts went back, some scouts continued, some scouts just stayed there and decided they didn't care. But I really think they set us up for this exact moment, because they wanted us to see what it feels like when our patrol meets a problem like this. Because outpost night took place a little bit on at the end of the week, and we already learned a bunch of leadership skills at more of the beginning of the week. So they wanted us to apply those skills during outpost, because that was when they really wanted to see the real test, when there was no staff or anyone there that would guide us, and we were by ourselves, and we really had to figure out whether it was stick with the patrol or do whatever you want. So it was interesting, and in the end we came out alive. And on the way back, we had to decide who was going to be our permanent, like forever patrol leader, like who was gonna stay patrol leader. And this really made a lot of patrols fight, because everyone wants to be patrol leader, everyone wants to be a leader. And this was really a moment that made people cry or upset or not talk to the patrol for the rest of the course. But it really shows that outpost isn't just a fun night, but it really decides what type of scout you are and what you can shape your patrol to be in such a short duration of time. The first challenge we had was the camp wasn't really like a camp. It was just some random spot in the woods, and although it was the camp, so some scouts just thought it too hard and they decided that they wanted to move on and find something else. And the second challenge was that letter that we read. Not only did it tell us our strengths and weaknesses, but right after that it told us to pick a permanent patrol leader and assistant patrol leader. So we had already faced such a big challenge and we were heading back, but then all of a sudden we had to stop midway and decide our patrol leader. And we elected me as a patrol leader, which was nice. But our patrol had a little bit of a fight and a division during this process, and we got weakened. This was our storming phase. So a patrol or any team has four phases, and I'm not going to get too deep into that because you guys have to go to NYLT to find out about that. And that was our storming phase where we were all fighting. But throughout the end of the week, we reached our performing phase where we started really gaining prizes and things like that. And then we came back, our tent flooded. On Friday night we had a closing ceremony, which I'm not going to get that deep into because you guys have to be there to experience it. And then we had another dance party. We had ice cream. We slept really late, around like 2 a.m. Then we went back home the next morning. We cleaned up camp. So that's basically all for this video, guys. NYLT was amazing, and I really wouldn't suggest it for scouts who don't have a leadership position in their troop or don't aspire to advance that much in the ranks or leadership. And this was really a competitive event, but it was also really fun along the way. I'm still in contact with some of the people in my patrol, and you really make a relationship. And something I would really not recommend is leaving back what you've learned at NYLT, like throwing your binder away or completely thinking that you're going to meet these people and not see them again. Because something I learned from the staff, other than what they taught us, was that the people you meet at NYLT are people you know forever. Like the camp director, for example, I'm not going to say his name, but he knows the people he knew from 10 years ago and he's still in contact with them, and he met them at NYLT. So that's all. You guys have to expect the less sleep that you think you're gonna get. Plan for it, don't fight it, and have fun overall. So that's all, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.